Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today I wanted to take a look at a couple what I consider to be mid-range luxury watches, uh, sports watches, office watches, not high horology, but really good, solid tool watches that are fairly popular ones, and sort of take a look at them, see how they're doing. Here I have the Omega Constellation Globemaster and a Zenith Elite Classic. Both of them are in the $6,000 range. The Constellation is $6,900 and the Elite is $6,000. Okay, what's the difference between these? First of all, Omega has the George Daniels coaxial escapement, and it also is rated as a chronometer. It's got anti-magnetic technology. What is the anti-magnetic technology? It's silicon hairsprings. This is something that Swatch went with Rolex and Patek Philippe, and they were going to make to get the silicon hairsprings and save some money, have very stable anti-magnetic movements. And at the same time, some people said, well, wait a minute, you can't regulate them. You can't use a curve regulator on them. So some people don't like them, some do. I prefer a more traditional one, but that's me. For silicon, I like Apple watches. They got lots of silicon. Anyway, these are two watches that one has silicon, one doesn't. The Caliber Elite 679 automatic, 50 hours. Both of these watches, I think, are just sort of good everyday watches, or what they sometimes call tool watches. Either one of them could be a nice office watch too. Now, this next one, or next two, I should say, are a little more sporty. The Zenith Fusalp is a really pretty brand new. I mean, it's just been out a few days. It has an Elite 670 in it, 28,800 semi-oscillations per hour, runs for 48 hours. This is called the Defy Classic. Fusalp is a sort of a ski clothes maker. They make, stuff for skiing. If you want to look good on the slopes, apparently they're the place to go. Zenith did something sort of interesting. Zenith has got this 5-point star that they have in all their watches, and there's the 5-point star you can see. But they also snuck in a snowflake, which is related to the whole Fusalp line. 10,900 Swiss francs. It's about 11,000 bucks. To me, that's pretty high. But if you want something stylish and unique, it's a limited edition of 100. In the white edition, the black edition is the limited edition of 300. Sort of interesting. This is companies getting together, watch companies getting together, other companies. I like the idea. Some of them sort of, I tell you, I think Rolex owners are a little worried, or some are even embarrassed by the some years ago Rolex and Domino's pizza. So you can find a Rolex with a Domino's logo on it. Those are sort of fun. This is a little different. This is more of the way it's said, more of an action watch. Now, the Omega is the Seamaster Aqua Terra. This is a watch I always liked. Just liked it. I don't know why. This one's $5,500. Coaxial master chronometer. Again, you end up getting a chronometer rating very easily when you use silicon hairsprings, because they don't change. Of course, you can't adjust them, so it's sort of the high and low of those. But boy, I tell you, I like that Seamaster Aqua Terra. I always like the looks of it. Now, the next two are a classic two classics, really. The Omega Speedmaster Caliber 321 chronograph. This is the moon watch. This is the 321 Caliber 321 is probably the best example of a classic movement in a watch. There's no silicon in this watch. $14,000. That's pretty hefty price for that, but and it's hand wound, which to me is a big attraction to it. Love this watch. 39.7 millimeters. Ready to go back to the moon again on this one. Now Zenith has the El Primero. Now this is sort of one of the things with Omegas and the whole swatch thing about silicone hairsprings I'm not crazy about. The same thing is true with Zenith, but not with something else I can grouse about, and that is these very high frequencies. This one has a frequency of 36,000 semi-oscillations per hour. That's 5 hertz. Now you get a lot of accuracy with these higher frequencies. The problem is, though, is that they beat up the watch a lot more, I think. This is unlike a quartz watch, which has an even higher hertz rate. But I like the El Primero. I have a Daniel Roth watch with an El Primero in it for a chronograph, and I'm not crazy about chronographs. I'm just terrible. Anyway, so this Chronomaster original is $9,000. Both of these watches I like, despite what I see as sort of a handicap of having this high, like beat them like a rented mule movements in them. But they're good for precision, and of course El Primero is a classic chronograph movement. Now, the final two are other models, again from Zenith and Omega. The Zenith, they have this the Pilot Type 20 Adventure, $7,400. This is a big watch. It's made of bronze. It's 45 millimeters. I think that 45 millimeters includes the giant crown over at 3 o'clock. Here's the style, and the reason they had those big crowns over here on an old pilot's watch is that, back in the old days, they flew with a scarf and the leather helmet and open cockpit, and they had to wear gloves. And so in order to wind a watch with gloves, you needed a great big crown like that one has. Something about this watch I just like the looks of a whole lot. Elite 679 movement. That's a 4 hertz movement. Doesn't beat up the movement as much. Now, this Omega is a Seamaster 1948, $6,400. It's a caliber 8806 chronometer. One of the sort of giveaways on these things, whether they have silicon or not, if they have 15,000 Gauss on it, they probably are silicon, but almost totally anti-magnetic or non-magnetic. This one I like a lot, the Seamaster 1948. The reason I have these paired, one of the Pilot watch and then with the Omega, for some reason, this particular 1948 Seamaster has on the back, it has a Chris Craft motorboat, and then it has a Glosser Meteor. The Glosser Meteor was I think it's the first Allied jet that was actually used in combat at the very end of World War II. I think they weren't known for downing flying planes, but they were pretty good at shooting them up on the ground and fast to get away with. This watch is clean as a whistle, and it's an 8806 caliber rather than some of the other ones that we've been looking at. But still, they've been putting silicon in them. I have, in looking at both of these brands, sort of as a mid-level, and like I said, I think what is considered mid-level price-wise has gone up quite a bit, sort of the post-pandemic worldwide inflation. These guys got inflated a bit too. But for in the middle range, yeah, a couple really good watches that I think you can enjoy, and it's like the kind of thing you'd probably wear every day. And anyway, well, listen, I'd like to get your opinion, what you think about both of these brands and the types of watches we looked at, and any other ones that you say, well, instead of getting a Zenith or Omega, this is what I would suggest for a mid-range watch. Let me hear from you. In the meantime, this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.